Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for this special JAZANS webinar. Before we introduce, we will perform the acknowledgement of country. JAZANS acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet and work and all the traditional owners of the country throughout Australia. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, continuing a unique connection to land, place, waters, and a rich contribution to society. We pay our respects to their cultures, country, and elders past and present. We are not on all country here in Canberra, and this week also marks the National Aboriginal and Islander Day Observance Committee Week, NAIDOC Week, and it's an important week to celebrate and recognise the history, culture, and the achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. As JAZANS, we'd also like to acknowledge the status of Maori and Indigenous peoples and the honour of Treaty of Waitangi by embracing the three guiding principles of partnership, protection, and participation. We are committed to fostering the organisation's relationship with Maori and supporting the aspirations of Maori staff, customers, and Maori communities. We are delighted today, this special JAZANS webinar, to have with us Brahim Houla, the inaugural chair of the Global ACI. Global ACI is the newly established international authority of accreditation, formed by the merger of IAF and ILAC. As chair, Brahim leads the strategic direction and represents accreditation bodies from around the world. Brahim is no stranger to this part of the world. He's been familiar and a respected face in the Asia Pacific accreditation community for many years, serving on the APAC Executive Committee, leading its capacity building committee and continuing peer evaluations of accreditation bodies across the region, including here in Australia and New Zealand. The establishment of Global ACI marks a significant moment for the community international accreditation system and for everyone in the community. The decisions made at the global level shape how accreditation works in practice and how it affects every one of you. There is no better place to talk about Global ACI and what it means for the future of accreditation in our region than the person himself leading it. Please welcome Brahim Houla.
Hello everyone, it's a big pleasure to be here with you all, and thank you very much for host JAZANS for this opportunity to meet with you. Global Accreditation Corporation, Global ACI, has the pleasure to visit a number of our members, and our esteemed colleagues from Australia and New Zealand are one of our favorite members, and that's why we are here today to give a brief presentation about the Global Accreditation Corporation, the effectiveness of its MLAs, but also to listen to you and have questions from your side of any points that you would like to clarify. So, as you know, ILAC and IAF, they worked together for long years. In 1977, ILAC was created, covering the scopes of testing, calibration, but also inspection at that time. In 1993, the certification world became more mature and needed also its own organization for cooperation between accreditation bodies in the field of accreditation of certifiers. But since the creation of IAF, ILAC and IAF, they worked together for more than 30 years in having joint accreditation cooperation meetings. They had joint committees, and also they were very close together. In 2019, two things happened. First, we have the Asia Pacific Accreditation Corporation, which was created by merging the PAC, the Pacific Accreditation Corporation, and the APLAC, the Asia Pacific Laboratory Accreditation Corporation. So the two worlds of laboratories, calibration, inspection, and the world of certification, validation, verification came together in 2019 at the regional level of APAC. And it made sense to everyone that the only discrepancy we have is the international organizations, that there are still two organizations. There was a lot of discussions, and then members decided in 2019 that we need to have a single international organization for accreditation. This is very important because it gives clarity, it minimizes the fragmentation of the information and the trust for accreditation globally, but also the ILAC and IAF, they created this organization to make the cooperation better between accreditation bodies, especially we have a lot of common members. The operation of Global ACI started 1st of January as official operation for Global ACI. ILAC and IAF as legal entities, they still exist for a small period to finalize their financial and legal commitment to unwinding the organizations, but they have ceased active operation starting from 1st of January 2026. ILAC and IAF logos and ILAC MLA and IAF MLA marks, they are now all owned by the Global ACI organization. We have chosen New Zealand to be our legal entity registration or organization, as the registration in New Zealand helps with the non-profit organizations to thrive. But also we have the experience with Asia Pacific Accreditation Corporation APAC that is also registered in New Zealand, and we have experience since 2019 the legislation and the knowledge about the requirement for incorporated organizations in New Zealand. Today, we have 126 full members, 50 stakeholders members. The full members are the signatory accreditation bodies, and stakeholders are the CABS associations, industry users, regulators, scheme owners, and then standardization bodies. We also have those accreditation bodies who are not yet signatory, and we have around 13 today. And obviously, we work on the different regions, 6 regional corporations covering the Inter-Americas, IAC, Europe, EA, Africa, IFRAC, South African Corporation, SADCAS, the Arab region, Iraq, Asia Pacific Accreditation Corporation, APAC. These are the 6 regions that do the peer evaluation for accreditation bodies, and then also they bring the information and the requests and needs of the regions to international areas. We are very happy that everyone joined the Global Accreditation Corporation. The only ABs that were left were 3 ABs. There was DAX from Germany, IRAS from Emirates, and Belarus Accreditation Body. The latter 2 have already applied, and they're now under the process of being accepted. And we had also a constitution change just a month ago for that, so that our colleagues from Germany can also join. So hopefully the team will be full and everyone is on board, which is a big achievement that all the members of ILAC and IAF joined, and also we had a couple of new members since. We are supported by a secretariat. We have 16 persons existing around the world. A number of them you may know, Steve Keeling, he was from Jan Anas, so he's helping us with the secretariat. We do also have Sharon Kelly here in Australia, Belinda Moore also. And also we have big support from other members like Michael Fraser, who was also previous NATA personnel. We have representatives from USA like Victor, from other IAC members in Americas like Marilu, Johanna, Krista in Canada, Carla, Niaki in Africa, and we have also Rose and Paul in Europe. So we have a number of our members who are representatives and 1G from Taiwan. This is by design so that we can respond to the needs of our different regions, our different members worldwide. Obviously, we keep our objectives for ILAC and IAF. We are not forgetting the past. We are building on the past and continuing the journey of trust. We work on supporting governments, regulators, industry, and users to implement the conformity assessment policies. But also, we have one single voice for accreditation and one single multilateral recognition arrangement. We chose MRA. So as you know, from the side of IAF, it used to be MLA, and from ILAC side, it was MRA. Now it is an MRA, multilateral recognition arrangement for on scopes. Obviously, this will help us promote accreditation internationally for the market needs. We continue in our objectives internally also to promote accreditation of conformity assessments with different stakeholders, which is really promoting trust, which is our currency, that we work to strengthen worldwide, also by harmonizing accreditation practices. The structure is pretty simple. We continued on the very similar structure from ILAC and IAF. The only difference is that now we have 3 technical committees. Technical committee 1 will be for laboratories and related scopes. Technical committee 2 will be for inspection, and technical committee 3 will be for certification, validation, verification. The rest of organization constitutions are the logical committees and also the executive committee. Obviously, the General Assembly is the highest authority in the organization. So these are the three technical committees: laboratories, including calibration, testing, medical laboratories, biobanking, and all related ILAC scopes. Inspection bodies is for technical committee 2, and technical committee 3 is the previous technical committee in IAF. We continue with the same membership with slightly different terms of reference. I'm honored to be elected as the inaugural chair of the organization, and we have Emmanuel Riba, who was the previous chair of IAF, who was also voted to be the vice chair. Very happy to have Emmanuel with me so that he can cover the history, but also all the knowledge and the expertise he had with IAF that continues with us in the Global Accreditation Corporation. We have also a very strong team of experts in their specific fields that are sharing the different committees, representing also different regions around the world. We do also have a strong representation of the stakeholders. We have 3 stakeholder representatives: Marcus Long, Alden Helbrand from FSSC, Iliana from Martinez from Tech Council, Marcus is from IIUA, and also we have the 6 regions represented by their representatives in the executive committee. And very important, Brendan Moore is the communication committee chair and is also an employee of NATO. As usual, we continue to make sure that global trade is having the trust needed by your activities as CABs, being accredited by Jazz Anas and other accreditation body members. We make sure that trade continues, that confidence in the products and their quality and safety is maintained. With your recognition, avoids all the retesting, recertifications, and the delaying duplications, and hopefully supports a number of regulations to trust on the results of accredited conformity assessment, and hopefully use it to facilitate trade. Technical barriers to trade, they cost billions annually, and that's why accreditation is really the foundation for that trust that may help the avoidance of technical barriers to trade as much as possible by having that trust. The MRA, now we have one MRA. Maybe a big question in your mind is that, are we going to use a new mark or not? We're going to have a new mark. The new mark is MRA, added to the Global ACI, so it will be Global ACI logo plus MRA. There is a process for registering the MRA mark. It is in different levels in different countries worldwide. That's why the good news for you that you can continue with using ILAC and IAF marks until the mark is registered in your economy. We are following the registration of the mark worldwide, and as soon as the mark is registered in your economy, the Secretariat will inform the accreditation body and give them the possibility to start using the new mark. So no panic in that. We have our time. The logos and marks of ILAC and IAF are owned by Global ACI, and we don't want to have any disruption in the market. So we continue using ILAC and IAF until the registrations are finalized. With that, we have the core principle of accredited ones accepted everywhere, and hopefully with one mark, the confidence in the supply chains will be easier and more straightforward. Market acceptance is something that many of certification bodies and also industry and scheme owners are looking forward to it. We can see there's different regulations worldwide. There's fragmentation in the requirements between different markets. And that's why accreditation is very essential too. We need now accreditation more than ever with the new requirements in ESGs, in the digitalization, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. Accreditation is more useful than ever. And that's why with one MLA mark, hopefully we can help that. The accreditation body's confidence in the CABs is based on the international requirements, but also the confidence in accreditation bodies is done by the regions through the peer evaluation processes that is getting more and more inclusive of scheme owners and observers from regulators in the peer evaluations, and also the level of peer evaluations is getting stronger and stronger between the organizations and members of the Global ACI. So from the chain of trust that we always follow is the CABs, through the ABs, through the regional bodies, through Global ACI, and hopefully worldwide by regulators and users. We can see that accreditation has practical trade benefits. A lot of studies are being done now in accreditation bodies to see the dollar value of the additional value of accreditation bodies in the economy. We have seen a number of accreditation bodies that are conducting these studies and showing really that there's an impact of accreditation, accredited conformity assessment activities on trade, but also on the local economy, supporting SMEs, supporting user safety, helping the protection of the environment, and also enhancing competitiveness. Lower compliance costs are now better for SMEs through the vulgarization of the accreditation activities and conformity assessment, having availability of the requirements to the regulators and consumers, but also having the developing economy is also part of our strategy of support in the Global ACI. We also try to work with regulators. We have signed a number of MOUs that we were before with ILAC and IAF, and we continue our cooperation with different organizations. But also, as a young organization, we're trying to get more feedback, maybe better feedback from our stakeholders and different organizations worldwide to help us get the rightful position of the accreditation at the international level. So APAC and Jazz Anas in the global system, we can see that APAC has the influence on the Global Accreditation Corporation. From Jazz Anas is member of APAC and the different other members. There's a cooperation also with colleagues from Indonesia that we've been there last weeks. We had the we had the annual meeting of the Asian Pacific Accreditation Corporation with the participation of the international organization, and hopefully this supports the MLA. What makes really the MLA effective is the fact that we help the competence and impartiality of accredited bodies to be used by regulators and markets. The Global Accreditation Corporation makes sure that we maintain the rigorous, independent, and peer evaluation processes so that accreditation bodies have equivalent outputs of their accredited activities. We work on the toolbox of ISO CASCO and the ISO IEC 17000 series so that they are the basis of our accreditations in addition to schemes and regulations. Surveillance and the assessment cycles are continuously maintained so that we can maintain the transparency, collaboration, and mutual trust. And MLA is not automatic. Accreditation bodies may have their signatory status suspended, extended, or changed depending on the results of peer evaluations. At the international level, there's training of regional peer evaluators, but also at the regional level, a lot of capacity building and training of peer evaluators have been conducted to make the MLA more trustful than ever. Obviously, this comes with its own challenges and opportunities. With the new technologies, new trends in the world, we need to have that awareness with the regulators and industry. Not everyone understands how the conformity assessment and accreditation are important. Sometimes we see some inconsistency in regulatory acceptance of accredited results. You can have the accreditation, you can give your results or accredited to your client, but still when they are trying to export their products, they are challenged with the new requirements, other regulatory, administrative, and legal requirements that are not covered. And some regulators, they request specific accreditation, specific certification, and do not rely on our international network. This is a challenge for us that we try to work with different regulators so that they can accept it in different countries. And it is our goal to have the accreditation once and acceptance everywhere. Obviously, also we have some opportunities with engaging with the regulators, using the digital tools and artificial intelligence in our accreditation recognition, working with the new schemes of sustainability, climate actions, and the international initiatives for innovation conformity assessment, and also extending our MRA to cover more and more scopes as we progress. For that, we have international partners. These are our partners that we work very closely with. We listen to what they are doing. We also support their activities. We have also access to different governments, regulators, and other organizations through our cooperation with these organizations. We do have also cooperation with a number of them under the INET-QI, the International Network of Quality Infrastructure, that also supports coordinated work with WTO, World Bank, ISO IAC, ITU, and also associations of conformity assessment bodies. Scheme owners is another perspective also of our work in Global Accreditation Cooperation. We have a number of endorsed schemes. These schemes rely on accreditation, and also they have their own requirements on how conformity assessment to be conducted, the nature of the product, services, and the persons to be covered, but also how the scopes should look like when accreditation is granted. A number of them have been reviewed and they get reviewed also continuously, and that's why at the Global ACI we try to make sure that they stay relevant, and also any amendments they are approved by Global ACI. Just information for regulators that we have a continuation of the recognition of accreditation that have been done by ILAC and IAF previously. So there's no stopping in our work. It's a continuity of what ILAC and IAF have done. We make to ensure that IAF and ILAC, the marks will remain valid as long as required until the registrations of the new mark is done in different economies. And we work with different members to update their references to ILAC and IAF to become Global ACI. We understand that in some regulations they will stay for long, which is fine, but we work with different members so that over time we will have the replacement of ILAC and IAF by Global ACI. I hope that all of you celebrated the World Accreditation Day with Jazz Ants. We try also to use this as a visible promotion of accreditation. This year, we chose the theme of innovation, trust, and sustainability, the power of accreditation, and hopefully this have resounded in Australia and New Zealand, but also worldwide. We have seen a number of organizations celebrating the World Accreditation Day and also having that common goal of making accreditation more visible. Our next meeting will be in Panama. We had our midterm meeting in Prague this year, face-to-face. And our meeting will be in October in Panama City for our General Assembly meetings. I hope this gave you a brief about the organization and also some about its objectives, its plans, but I would like to give some time for questions and any clarifications you need from the Global Accreditation Cooperation. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Brahim, and for sharing a thoughtful update on Global ACI and what it means for our community. I've got fielding a couple of questions in the time that we have left. And just for those that are still joining us here, is we are recording this session for future release. And we can also, as Jason's field any questions that we can, obviously promote through our pathways through APAC and Global in future. I'll just bring up the question that I've had moderated here. And one question sent so far, Brahim, is how will Global ACI, based on based accreditation, contribute to AI for conformity assessment and AI as an object of conformity assessment for public assurance over AI technologies?
Very good question. I think this question covers exactly the two ways we are dealing with artificial intelligence. So first, artificial intelligence is something that is already used by conformity assessment bodies. We cannot stop our auditors, we cannot stop our assessors in accreditation, we cannot stop decision makers, the users to use AI. That's something that is there. And that's why the way we deal with it is that we need to have governance of it. Asia Pacific Accreditation Cooperation has a working group on artificial intelligence. Global ACI has also a task force related to artificial intelligence under the working group on digitalization. And there was a release of a proposal of policies that can be used by CABs, by accreditation bodies to manage AI. The main important thing when using AI in conformity assessment activities is that we need to keep the trust in the results. Maybe sometimes there's over-reliance on artificial intelligence. We forget that they can be still hallucinating. They can have some issues. We need to make sure that human oversight is there. We need to make sure that when using artificial intelligence, confidentiality and the security of the information should be maintained, and that people have the right skills to use artificial intelligence. This is the first part of it that everyone is discussing. A number of conformity bodies are trying new ways of using artificial intelligence, which is totally fine as long as it doesn't threaten the requirements that we have for conformity assessment. The second way of using artificial intelligence is to have them as object of conformity assessment. Management systems, the 42,000, we have the tools and the systems that are also as services and products to be evaluated for their conformity. We try also to have endorsement of a number of schemes for artificial intelligence that are anti-AI washing, where some people can say this is a system that is based on AI, when in reality it is not. There's also a number of regulations that put in place requirements for artificial intelligence. And this is a new opportunity for different activities of conformity assessment, not only management systems that ISO is doing very good work in writing a number of standards for it, but also as products, services, and AI-powered activities that can be object of conformity assessment. So these are the two ways that we are dealing with, and I think the question was to the point.
I think we've got many other questions from the field, but unfortunately we've run out of time here. I'll take one more that I've just seen in the chat, and then we'll leave it there for this last question. It's from Alan Wheel, and do you see one of the challenges? Is ensuring adequate depth of technical skill knowledge through all tiers of the accreditation process?
Yeah, I think that the more you are up in the pyramid of the quality infrastructure and the the more you have to cover more scopes of knowledge. So as accreditation body, it's expected to have more assessors that are covering the different schemes and the different possibilities. Obviously, when you have an assessor who goes to a laboratory, who goes to a certification body, the assessor must have equivalent or better knowledge about that scope, which is really a challenge. Because for specific schemes, specific activities, the people that you're going to evaluate, they are the best in their fields, and then finding someone who is better, or it's going to be someone who has conflict of interest because they work with them or in the same field, or going to have someone who is more junior than them, and then he doesn't have the depth of the technology and knowledge of technical requirements. So it's always a challenge and a balance to make between the depth of the knowledge and the coverage of the requirements and possibility to assess and testimony of the competence of the conformity assessment body. It's a continuous challenge. It's not only for artificial intelligence or fields, but it's over the board.
Good. We have run out of time, Brahim. However, like we've said before, very happy to take on questions from Jazan's perspective and raise those up as we see fit. I'd just like to, from all of us here in the Asia Pacific and the conformity assessment bodies, scheme owners, the stakeholders within our ecosystem, we'd just like to really, once again, thank you so much for joining us and your safe travels globally that you've been immensely doing over this period of time. And just from Jazan's perspective, this is the first of what we plan to do as a series of webinars on key topics such as this for our accreditation community. And so you will see in future some upcoming standards transition webinars. So watch this space, more to come soon. Thank you again for all those joining us within your busy schedules, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.